Well, good morning everybody, welcome back to another film. So those of you that follow the channel will know that just recently I had my third and hopefully final hernia operation, and today is my first day out in almost 4.5 weeks. I'm chomping at the bit like you would not believe. So today I'm in, of all places, Sussex, and we're here on holiday, and I just thought it would be a good opportunity to dip my toe into the water and do a little film just to get things mobile again. Now, I'm not out for a full day. I've literally given myself an hour and a half, 2 hours tops, just to try and get the creative juices flowing again. I do feel a little bit rusty, I have to say, but just to try and get my eye into the habitats again and the woodland like I am in today, and start to see those lovely creative images and get back into the groove. So like I say, an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours, probably only one image today unless I get really lucky, but I'm really just looking for the one image, and then probably going to head back to the van and rest up a little bit more. But lovely to see you all again. Absolutely wonderful to be back out in these beautiful places. So I will see you in a second. Brought you down here just quickly on my route because I can hear a little bird singing. It's definitely worth pointing out. Really high pitched, and it sort of goes dee dee lee dee lee dee lee. Let's wait for it again. That one, really high pitched. There is a great tit singing in the woodland as well, which is sort of drowning it out a bit. But if you can filter that one out, dee dee lee dee lee dee lee. That's the goldcrest. The goldcrest is probably Britain's smallest bird, along with the firecrest, very similar species. The goldcrest's got a golden Mohican, almost a golden line that runs down the middle of his head. The firecrest has got a really dark red line. That's the difference. The firecrest not really seen anywhere near as often as the goldcrest, and certainly the goldcrest is often always, if not certainly always, in areas of pine trees, although they will nest in dense ivy growth on trees as well. Just listen to it again. I'm right beneath the flight path of Gatwick Airport. There it is, just singing above the sound of the aircraft. I'll let it do it one more time, just listen for it, it'll go dee dee lee dee lee dee lee. The goldcrest, really lovely. So this woodland that I'm in this morning, I'll lift the camera up, you can see lots of bracken, and at my feet lots of bilberry. Get the blueberries in autumn time, you can make bilberry pie. And it's funny actually, you often see this in my neck of the woods. It's been grazed to nothing, but here it's really lush. But there's a right old carpet of it wherever I look, bilberry and bracken. So whether that's going to cause any difficulties in finding ground flora, I'm not sure. But to be fair, there's lots of Scots pines in this wood, and the ground underneath is quite sandy soil, so it's very well drained, almost like a heathland type woodland. So anyway, that's the nuthatch come to join the goldcrest. Anyway, so I'll crack on and hopefully we'll find something very soon. So one of the things that I wanted to chat about today, just put my tripod down, was learning to see creatively. And I get asked a lot how I manage to see things all the time when I'm out. And this was really brought to my attention recently when I was doing one of my Skype one-to-ones, distance remote learning. I'll put a link above if you're not aware of those, where we can meet up online, do a video call, and we can talk about anything photography that you want to talk about. So the question came up about how I manage to find compositions all the time when I'm out. And I gave the example of the marathon runner, the long distance runner, Kipchoge, and that when he goes out and runs a fantastic time in a marathon, it's not just the one day that week that he's been out, and it's just not the one day that week that he's thought about running. he's training his brain, he's training his body 7 days a week to be able to put that performance out at the end of the week. He's one day that he might do his big run, his competitive run, let's say. And I relate that to photography and seeing creatively. Now I realise that most people, even professional photographers, can't go out every day and practice the craft. But what we can do is that we can learn, teach our brains to see creatively all the time as much as possible. Now when I was talking to my client, I made the point that during our conversation already I'd looked at the room that he was in, the colour scheme on the walls, the arrangements of the photographs on the walls and ornaments, and I was already assessing whether there was any compositional qualities within what I was seeing on my screen, looking at him, just having a chat with me. And that's what I do without even thinking about it. And it's because over the 30 plus years that I've been a photographer, I've learned to not switch off from looking for compositions. And it's not easy to do that, but if we try to be mindful of it, we can get used to doing it. And you can do it anywhere. You can do it on a train, you can do it on a bus, you can do it out for a walk, you can do it at work, you can do it when you're doing the washing up, anywhere. Just look for those shapes and compositions. Look at the light, look at contrast, how the light is falling on different objects. Look at the arrangement, the placement of objects. They don't have to be wildlife, it doesn't have to be plants, it can be cutlery, it can be plates, it can be anything. But getting yourself into that creative mindset will really help you when you get out with a camera, maybe that 1 day a week, or in my case, today, the first time in 4.5 weeks. So that's my answer to that question, is how do I see creatively and constantly get good results? Well, I suppose that's a matter of opinion, but that's the question that I was asked, and that's my response to that question. So maybe something to consider from this point forward when you're out and about, just doing your normal everyday things. So, with that last piece to camera about learning to see and looking for compositions, I've continued along my route, along this woodland, and what I've found is that the woodland is pretty homogeneous. And for those of you that are not familiar with that term, it's repetitive, there's lots of the same no matter where you walk. When I first entered the woodland there was a lot of broadleaf, but now I'm in to the main part of it, it's all coniferous. And that would explain why there's lots of bracken and lots of the bilberry around. And in those situations it's very easy to get tunnel vision and just go on a big long yomp and not see anything, because everything's just repeating itself. But just look out for those smaller details, things that, like I say, just really catch your eye and learn to see them. Now, if you're really paying attention to what I was saying, you'll have already been looking around where I'm sitting for a composition to see if there's anything where I am now. The fact that I'm here, I suppose, gives the game away a little bit. The sun's a bit of a problem, I have to say, but I've got my linen sheet in the bag here just to create a bit of diffused light, so we should be all right. But if you haven't already seen it, just to my left here, your right, there's an area of moss that's fanning out from a central point, and it's lovely and flat on the surface of this cut, what I presume is a pine stump. And it will make, and I don't do square very often, but I think it will make a nice square composition, and just put it right in the central point, and all those little fronds of the moss just creeping out in all directions. But apart from that, what caught my eye as well as the shape is that these lovely orange colours in the on the top of the pine stump. It's almost like an orange mould that's growing on the surface. Then you've got this black here as well, and then you've got the lines of the cut tree, which all together make a lovely, interesting detail shot with lots of colour. So I'm going to get the lens out now, get it placed directly over the top, and set that up and see how it looks. It's a nice image to start with. I know I said I'm probably only going to shoot one, but two is always going to be a bonus, and it might be a bit of a challenge, but this one has come quite early in my walk, so I'm pretty optimistic that I might just be lucky and find a second shot in the time that I've given myself. So let's get that photographed. Fortunately, the sun has left us for a little while. I do keep getting quite strong gusts of wind coming through, but it's certainly not affecting this composition. So nice and easy, camera placed nice and vertically above the composition. Got the back of the camera, or more importantly the centre plane, nice and level with the subject matter, so I don't have to worry about stopping down to small apertures. I can work where the lens is at its sweet spot, and for most lenses that's round about f8. For mine it's 9, 5, 11, something like that in a medium format, so it's always that little bit smaller. So like I said, ready to go. 15th of a second, f9.5, 100 ISO. Just going to cover the back of the camera up when I press the shutter button. The mirror will lock up, there'll be a 2-second timer, and there we have it, nice and easy. So on the point of learning to see images, what about this one here on the right hand side? This is a plant called tufted hairgrass, and just look at all those panicles against that dark background. This time of year, tufted hairgrass, the flowers haven't quite come out yet, and they've got these beautiful silvery delicate tips to the top of the plant where the flowers will eventually burst open. And they make great compositions, and just so nice against that dark background there. And you just get the macro lens out and just move it around inside, looking for pleasing shapes and compositions. I'm not going to do it today because I've done it before on the channel, and I'll put a link above to that film. Absolutely stunning grass, and I love photographing grasses because they're just so often overlooked by photographers, and yet so beautiful. And I find that they can often pull me out of a difficult situation when I'm struggling to find the bigger scenes. Really lovely. So I found something here that I quite like. My initial plan today was to at least try and get one shot of the broader scene, but there's just no atmosphere in the woodland at this time of day, and there's quite a bit of wind, the sun's coming and going, and I just don't feel that the compositions are going to be that great if I try and make something work in this light. So I've been concentrating more on the smaller scenes all morning pretty much, and only really looking for the bigger view if one really jumps out to me that's just too good to miss. But all the time I really doubted that was ever going to happen. So just down here we've got a lot of holly deadfall that's come from this mature holly stand in the background, and when you look around there's leaves all over the place in various states of decay. But as holly leaves break down, the shiny surface tends to flake off and it leaves the vein structure inside the leaf, and that can look so beautiful when photographed against a good background. Now there is one just here that's against this dark bit of bark, and it's in amongst quite a lot of clutter, but I'm going to tidy it up and I'm going to photograph that one leaf against that dark band of rotting timber, and I think that will really make a nice image. Now the angle of the leaf is not ideal, so I am going to tweak that ever so slightly. It's not something I do a lot, but I think just to get the composition raised that little bit higher in terms of quality, I think it needs it. So macro lens on again, and get that one in the bag. So I've been tweaking this composition for the best part of half an hour now, and I've finally got to the point that I'm happy with it, and I've taken the image or sequence of images, which I'll explain in a second. But as I said, the image was pretty well obscured by other bits of debris. I've spent a lot of time clearing that up, moving the stalks and all the other bits and bobs of leaves that were scattered all around it, but even to the point of there was some silver birch seed, sorry, not seedless, the husks from the leaves scattered among it as well, and I've picked them out with a little bit of a stick. And some of the crumbling timber, the decaying timber, is quite light, and some of that have crumbled down around and underneath the leaf, and that's the sort of thing that catches your eye. So I've got a little stick and I've just pinged them out of the way as well. Pick the leaf up in order to do that, just to remove those distractions, then put it back. Now, as I say, I've just tweaked the composition ever so slightly, and I've just angled the leaf just that bit more round to the left to give that more dynamic view to the image, so that it's running in a slightly different direction to the way that the bark is decaying the lines of the bark. It's a really lovely shot. I've taken it at f13. I've been very, very careful to make sure the exposure is right, because the shiny parts of the holly really catch the light and they don't polarize well at all. So I've made sure the exposure is absolutely bang on for those lighter portions. So it's f13 at quarter of a second at 100 ISO, and it's a stack of about 5 images, because the holly leaf, when you look at it at an angle, it's got lots of different depths to it, and I need to be sure that all the points, I'm hoping, are all nice and sharp, along with the vein structure at the bottom. And as I've said before, as magnification increases, depth of field decreases dramatically, and at this distance it's really critical to get everything sharp from top to bottom. So it's a stack, like I said, f13 in order to achieve that. So I'll put that shot on now. Well, thank you all for watching once again. I'll put the images on now at the end. As always, if you're not already a subscriber and you want to see more, don't forget to subscribe. Leave some comments to let me know what you think of today's images, and I will see you very soon in the next one. So until next time, bye for now.